Rhonda Whitaker. I'm serving as Sergeant of Arms tonight and for the next 6 months. And I look forward to having a great evening. Please help me warmly welcome our President, Mr. Will Burns.
Thank you, Rhonda. Welcome to our meeting. First off, I'll look out here and see if we have any guests. And we do. Would you please stand up, tell us your name and what brought you here, please?
My name is Sarah Malott, and what brought me here is that my job is requiring me to bring out my public speaking skills, of which I have none. So that's why I'm here.
Yes, great place.
Yes.
Yay.
Great place.
And you've just started your speaking career. Stood up, talk a little bit about yourself. It can be kind of nerve-wracking. What is your job, by the way, or what do you do?
I work at Cambridge in the operations department, and the part with presenting is I'll be conducting training calls on a regular basis, and then eventually quarterly I'll be giving a presentation in front of 5 people about what we do.
Exciting.
We have a returning member.
You as well. We have a trained member. Welcome back.
Yay!
My name is Upendra Sharma, and I came here to meet people who have inspired me and helped me to grow a lot in all aspects. So I'm happy to be here.
Welcome back, Upendra. Definitely welcome your energy and enthusiasm for righteousness. It's a good fight. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our Toastmaster. Let me start by reiterating the mission of Toastmasters.
Yay!
To provide a mutually supportive learning environment, positive learning environment, in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth.
Yay!
Now, please let me warmly welcome, assist me in warmly welcoming Art Atkinson.
Thank you, Will. Good evening. My name is Art Atkinson. Welcome to this Golden Speakers Toastmasters meeting, first in February. My role is to keep our theme in the forefront tonight and keep our meeting moving along. I'll begin by reading the theme so that those who are watching from home who don't have access to the agenda can actually know our theme. A guest or two is walking in. Good evening,
Yes.
Welcome.
They came in after the introduction, so they don't have to speak.
The theme is the magic of believing, outlined by a quote from Goethe. Magic is believing in yourself. If you can do that, you can make anything happen, quote unquote. I'd like to begin by introducing our role players. We have a number of people taking different roles in the meeting to make sure that it operates smoothly. You just saw our club president, and before that our sergeant at arms. Now I'd like to ask our timer, Satish Sabapati, to tell us what he will be doing this evening.
Good evening, everyone. As the timer today, I will be timing everyone's speech. And table topics are 1 to 2 minute speeches. The green light is on at 1 minute. The yellow light is on at 1 minute, 30 seconds. And the red light is turned on at 2 minutes and remains on until the end of the speech. Prepared speeches are usually 5 to 7 minutes. The green light is again turned on at 5 minutes if it's a 5-minute speech. 6 minutes, yellow goes on, and at 7 minutes the red goes on and remains until the end of the speech. Evaluations are 3 minutes. Again, the same scheme. Green light is turned on at 2, the yellow at 2.5 minutes, and the red is turned on at 3 minutes and remains on until the end of the evaluation. And at the end of the meeting, I'll give you a report. Thank you.
Yo.
There is a Satish, there is a correction you need to know, and that is that Jeff Shipley will speak 6 to 8 minutes.
Yeah.
That's his requested time.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
Next, I'd like to ask our counter, Cindy Traynor, to tell us what she will be doing.
The awe counter, the role of the awe counter is to count the extraneous verbiage. And that means ahs, ums, like, you know, so, but any filler words where someone doesn't know what to say and they go and then they come out with a sentence. A favorite one in this community is so. That happens every now and then. Also, something called a tongue click, where someone may smack their lips or something. I don't know why pauses are on here, because I thought they were a good thing. Maybe that's to give a positive to everything else. Xerox, that's a new one on me.
Repeats.
And repeats, thank you. And so repeats and false starts. You know, that type of thing. And I'll give a report at the end of the meeting on who said what and how many they said.
We have a general evaluator this evening, Jesus Rios. Please, there's one for you, by the way. Please know that at the second half of the meeting, our general evaluator, Jesus, will be conducting the proceedings. We have Darlene Martin serving as our ballot and leader counter this evening. Yes? With a nod. And do we have a greeter joke master tonight?
She.
Darlene is doing double duty.
Yes, yes.
So we'll hear from you at the end of the meeting with a report. Or is it a joke?
With a joke.
Good. Now what I'd like to do is to introduce the first section of the meeting. I apologize. We have a grammarian, Stephanie Chambers, who has a number of duties that she will
Today's word of the day is an easy one. Weird, which means supernatural or strange and peculiar. So I would like everyone to try and use the word weird in their talks tonight, and I'll be noting down who used the word the most. I'll also be noting down any incorrect uses of grammar and any excellent uses of words. So that's what I'll be doing tonight.
Thank you. That is definitely the weirdest grammarian's choice we've had in a long time. Now I will introduce the first section of tonight's meeting, which is extemporaneous speaking. We call it table topics. And here to conduct the table topics section is our table topics master, Tom Traynor.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Guests, members, viewers at home. Table topics for our guests is an opportunity to practice talking off the table or off your cuff. We do give questions. You can do one of three things. You can answer the question. You can be like the weatherman and segue off from today was cold, but my favorite day is July. Go into a different topic. Or you can be like Bill Clinton when he was asked about Monica Lewinsky, and he said, I'm glad you asked that question because Stravinsky is my favorite composer. And just totally go off in a new direction. And it's all legal, it's all perfect, except if you're in the table topics contest, and then you have to answer the question. Otherwise, they take points off. I have 8 questions that are based on the theme, which I didn't find out about till 5:30 tonight. Who would like to volunteer to pick a number and roll? Yes, Slobodan, come on. 1 through 8, pick one.
8.
8. As you become more truthful, how does your life change and become magical?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Members, fellow members, viewers at home, and all our guests. You're a guest, right?
I am.
Thank
I'm a
you for
drop-in.
coming. It's weird to hear Stephanie mention here the word weird, because the last thing I did before I came here was I was reading the notes from my last speech. It was her note, telling me that she was kind of disappointed that I wasn't standing up for something. I was accepting something. I didn't complain. And it's funny because about a week ago, I think I mentioned here, I read a book, and the guy was talking about, I'm just stopping myself because I wanted this to be a talk. Not here, I wanted to use this as a different topic. But in any case, I read this book in which they say if there are 3 signs that somebody is a victim personality, and one of them was complaining. So I decided not to complain. And of course, that was Sunday evening. Monday, my car broke down. I wasn't complaining. I started walking home, it started raining. I wasn't complaining. Then I found out I had 3 emails that I didn't respond. They were timely. I didn't complain either. Somebody else complained though. So then I found myself with your note, what to really do. If, do we complain or we don't complain? Is it really a victim mentality, or are you a victim if you accept something without complaining necessarily? Or giving somebody a feedback, a response? So I think there's a deeper underlying truth here. It's not necessarily what do you do and how you act. Where do you act from? Do you complain because you feel powerless? Or you complain because you want to make a difference? So that could be, if I really live truthfully, part of my answer. Thank you.
Yes. Welcome to Weird Table Topics. Oh, Scott wants to come up. 1 through 7, Scott.
7.
7. Working from the magical bottom. Tell us about an experience of a big S self that was magical to you. Tell us about an experience of big S self that was magical to you. How it felt, how it looked.
A big self that was magical to me.
Yes. Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Manager. Manager. Honored guest, viewers at home, my lovely wife. I've just returned from Chicago. And the big self, following on Slobodan's thought of victimness, is really how do we create ourselves to be that state? A victim isn't what happens to us. A victim's what we do to ourselves upon what happens to us. My big self escaped the traumas that I've went through, almost dying 3 times in a 2-year period. And how I took that moment and decided I'm not going to be a victim of myself. It's almost like the little puppet. Reach down inside and grab myself up and say, no, we're here for a reason. We're here to do something meaningful today. So how do we come to that? How do we come to today and not be that victim? How do we encompass that power? We don't get lost in the actions. We get lost in who we are, who we really are,
and we let go to ourselves, to our greater selves. It's remembering who we are, who we really are. The bigger self is within us all. And that's what we come back to today. So it's not about the events. It's not about the dramas. It's not about the driving to Chicago and returning and all the things that happen to us. It's really about the coming home again. And what allows us to do that is us. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics.
Yo! Who else wants to step up on the weird stage and be weird? Jesus, I saw you first. Come on up. 1 through 6.
6.
6, bottom up. Are you doing things, or are things doing you? Perspective change. Are you impacting the world, or is the world running you? Give us your answer. How do you feel? What do you think? How does it look?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. Thank you, Tom, for such an interesting question, which it can be debated one way or the other. Because to a certain point, I can say that I am changing the world. I'm changing the world because I always try to change the lives around me. I like to touch people in a special way. What I know, then if they see me one time, if the years go by, and never see me again, they will remember me. That is a goal, something that I like to do. And I think that we all have soft spots in our hearts and our lives. Then I think that if I touch on the special soft nerve of yours, or your whole being, you will remember me, you see me 5, 10 years from now. But on the other hand, I think that the world is changing me, because I think that my experiences, the things that I have lived through my life, have shaped me to the person that I am. So it can go both ways. I have changed the world, and also the world has changed me. I am a product of the world, product of my environment. So to answer the question, to conclude, a little bit of both. The world changed me, and I have changed the world. Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Yo! Stephanie, you had your hand up. Come on up. 1 through 5.
3.
3. Tell us about any mysterious or mystical, magical experiences you've had in your life. How did it look? How did it feel? What did it sound like? Give us your answer.
Fellow Toastmasters, honoured guests, and viewers at home. I don't normally have cosmic experiences, but a few weeks, months ago, I actually had what I consider a cosmic experience. So we were in the hall at Ajiro, and we were listening to Vedic chanting, and there was this bug, this little insect, and we were sitting at the back right where people can walk out, because we wanted to be able to leave easily afterwards. And so, you know, it's a major thoroughfare. And this little bug, it's crawling along. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, no, you're not in a good spot. You know, when everyone goes, you're going to be history, you know. So I don't know what possessed me. I thought to myself, you know, if you come to me, I'll take care of you. So anyway, he's going along and he does a sharp right turn. And he heads towards me. And I think, oh, well. Anyway, so I end up picking up the bug, this little flying insecty thing, and it just sat there on my finger. And I was a bit worried it was going to bite, but it didn't. And, you know, another 5, 10 minutes went by. Oh, this bug sitting here. I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. But fortunately, you know, because the chanting ended and it was the end of the evening and everyone was about to get up and go, and because I was at the back, I was able to leave it easily, so I put my coat on, somehow keeping the bug, and managed to get outside, the building downstairs, outside, and I put the bug down on some bushes or something. But for me, that was what I consider a magical cosmic experience, because I don't normally speak to, I'm not really an animal person. I don't normally have conversations with bugs.
Now, who could be weirder than that? Oh, we have a guest. Upendra, come on up. Come on up. Okay, 1, 2, 4, or 5?
I will take 5.
Number 5. How would you define a magical moment? What does it look like? What's it sound like? What's it feel like, in your words?
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home, the magical moment for me is right now. I had to make a decision that if I stay longer, the lot of snow melted and the road will get very icy. Or should I go to the Toastmaster? And I'm struggling between these two. Risk, you can skid out of the road, or you can come and you can have a very inspiring meeting. Every question you read, Mr. Table Topic Master, was very resonating inside of me. Very philosophical, very practical. So magic moment is giving 100% of every moment in your life. But another magic moment I had was when first time I saw my life. In India we get married by arranged marriage. I walked into the room, I saw the girl, and I said, this is the girl I'm going to get married. My father after said, do you like her or not? I said, it doesn't matter I like her or not, but this is the girl I'm destined to marry. 28 years after, I still believe that moment spoke the truth to me, and I was 100% right. I made the right decision. Another magical moment in my life is getting successes, listening to Obama. I was driving at 9:30, my son called, Daddy, do you know Obama won? I said, really? How that man can win, you know, after making so many mistakes? And then I believe there's a magic. There's a magic in this world, and for me that was a magical moment which has changed the history of the world again. I have so many moments where magic has taken place in my life. If I remember all those moments, it's hard for me to select which was the better moment or which was the worst moment. But I still believe when I applied for the visa to US and I came here, I knew something magical is going to happen. That magical moment I'm still waiting for. And for fellow Toastmaster, one day that will come. Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Time for one more. Dan had his hand up. Come on down, Dan. All right, what do we got here? 1, 2, and 4.
1.
Number 1. Tell us about an experience in your life that felt magical. Why, how it felt, what it looked like, what it sounded like. Define a moment that was magical. Tell us about it.
Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. My experience of magical moments is that there are times when you aren't expecting something to happen, and then something comes along and just surprises you. For me, that's magic. I didn't have to plan it, I didn't have to make it happen. It just happened to me, and I was immersed in the experience.
the one example of that I often think of was a time that I was in Florida and I decided to go snorkeling. I had never been snorkeling before. So I called some dive shops and I said, where's a good place to go? And I got out on the water and it was amazing. It was incredible. It wasn't as good as many of the snorkeling places in the world, but it was a reef, there were fish. And part of my little magical experience was kind of like Stephanie's bug. There was this one little fish, tiny little guy, that kept circling my head. So I'm going along the reef and I'm seeing this color fish and that color fish and something big out there that was some kind of shadow that I wasn't sure what it was, but the whole time this little guy kept showing up. It was just so fun. And to me that whole experience was magical with that little fish there as my extra magic buddy.
We truly have exhausted our time. Mr. Timer, please tell us who qualified.
All the speakers qualified, and they are Slobodan, Scott, Asu, Stephanie, Upendra, and Dan.
So please vote for your view, weird as it may seem, of the best table topic speaker tonight. Thank you for coming back. Now, Matt on the Table Topics Evaluator, Gene, Simon, and Craig, please come up and do your thing. Go!
Fellow Toastmasters and you're a guest, aren't you? Are we paying attention to this guest here?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, good, just want to make sure. And viewers at home, let's go right down. Slobodan was a little bit slow because I was thinking that she wasn't getting acknowledged as a guest. So I was off on a little trip on that and thinking, did she become a member, and I didn't know. So I missed a little bit of the opening, but I got right back in, and I really liked the way Slobodan played a little bit with this word of complaining, accepting, and using his intellect to parse it and dice it a little bit. Complaining, accepting. Is that a better thing versus maybe you complain because you want to make a difference? So you could kind of come up with positives on both types of response. A suggestion would be, so I like that, a suggestion would be to try to not hold your face sometimes, unless you really want to hold your face. Okay. Scott. Now I'm going to critique the Table Topics master here. He used a term, big S self, and he didn't define what that was. Big S self. Got to be careful with jargon, special language. What does all that mean? Scott jumps right in and starts talking about big S self. Again, not defining what it is per se. I mean, this is a non-denominational club, so not everybody knows all this jargon. He did have some good gestures, reaching down for the puppet, pulling little Scott up here. And he did come back with his conclusion. He said, what allows us to do that, getting that big self, is us. There was an interesting little wrap up. My suggestion for Scott would be, and I'm not the simplest person in the deck, or in the box, I sometimes get a little twisted in his sentence structures. I'm not sure what is exactly he's referring to. So I would just say simpler sentence structure might be helpful for a verbal communication. Jesus, are you impacting the world or is it running you? Again, Jesus took both sides of the question. Sometimes I'm impacting, other times I am being impacted. And I like that. That again shows sort of a balanced approach, and things are not always black and white. They're nuanced. Great eye contact and great pauses. That is so solid with Jesus. Suggestion, work on your pronunciation, the B's and the V's. As opposed to environment and viewers at home. Get those V's in there. We talked about that. Stephanie, very weird. That story. Okay, so the bugs, so she's really into the gestures and she's bonding with that bug. That was very cool. Conclusion, she's not usually talking to bugs and animals and things, but it was a mystical experience. And she brought it back to the original question, and I liked that when we talked about that. A suggestion would be special terms, again, define Vedic chanting. I mean, what are we doing? What is that? So that would be a comment. Do I get any extra time because I have so many people? Like, can I have 1 extra minute? Okay.
Sure, why
I mean,
not?
if I'm giving good stuff.
Yes, the clock. What time would you like?
All right. All right.
Special.
Okay. Oh, wait, hang on. Jupendra.
Would you give it to somebody else?
No!
Okay, if the bang was there. So Upendra, magical, now we got into a bunch of a magical moment, various flavors. So Upendra had a very good opening. Magical moment is right now. Whew, didn't that kind of just pull you in? That was nice. Talked about a series of magical moments, but then he said he's still waiting for his big magical moment. All right. A suggestion to Upendra? Smile that lovely smile. Yes. That's magical. Finally, Dan, again, another magical moment, and this fish is flying around or swimming around. It was a great story, lots of water and reefs, and you could just see Dan out there. The one suggestion I would have for Dan would be a little more directed eye contact, talking about the fish, and maybe say something to Scott about that, and just how beautiful that water was and how really crystal clear it was. And then go back to your, so I know you were kind of watching the fish while you were talking, but just come out a little bit and just make sure everybody's watching with you. Mr.
Well, we can go with
Toastmaster.
Yo!
Thank you, Jean. Now we move on to, we have done the voting. We'll move on to the prepared speeches. Next up, we have Jeff Shipley speaking, and to introduce Jeff Shipley's project and explain to us what he's doing, we have Will Burns.
Weird as that sounds, yes, I'm actually going to be behind the camera doing the evaluation here. Jeff is doing his CC number 4, how to say it. So he will say it. He will say it using short, clear terminology, avoiding jargon and slang, in words that are clear, accurate, descriptive, and powerful. His speech is titled The Iowa Legislature. Now, Jeff is uniquely qualified to speak on this topic. He has graduated from the University of Iowa with a degree in political science in 2010. He worked and volunteered with an assortment of candidates, campaigns, and grassroots advocacy organizations, most notably the Mid-American Right to Work Committee, Ron Paul's Campaign for Liberty, and the Ron Paul 2012 presidential campaign. He is currently employed as a paralegal, as a bankruptcy paralegal, where he works to make southeastern Iowans that are struggling to make ends meet. Currently, he is experimenting as a political scientist, as an elected member of the Republican Party of Iowa's State Central Committee, organizing an agenda for a group called Liberty for Iowa, and attempting to create a new group called Iowans for Agricultural Prosperity. Please warmly welcome Jeff Shipley.
Yo!
Thank you, Will, for that lovely introduction. Fellow Toastmasters, honored and distinguished guests, viewers at home. This evening I'll be giving my best rendition of a junior high civics lesson explaining the Iowa legislature. What is it? What does it do? How does it work? And if we have time, hopefully I can explain why I've taken an interest and why this has sort of become a hobby of mine lately. So firstly, to start off, a legislature, what is it? Well, a legislature is any deliberative body which produces, creates laws, regulatory provisions, or statutes for any political entity. So in Iowa, legislative authority is described in Article 3 of the Constitution of Iowa. It's given to a General Assembly, which is made up of two separate bodies. There is the upper house, a Senate comprised of no more than 50 senators, and a lower chamber, the House of Representatives, consisting of no more than 100 members. And also the Iowa Constitution directs these bodies to convene on the second Monday of January. So that was January 14th. So they've been in session for about 3 weeks now for the 2013 legislative year. And these bodies, they convene underneath ostentatious golden domes on top of a big shining hill. And if you go in there, there's all sorts of fancy trim. Everything's got cherry wood. There's decorative marble everywhere. All the artwork is very well detailed and illustrated. It's all very beautiful and ornate. And when I come in there, after I go through the security and get through the x-ray machine or the metal detector or whatever have you, you kind of get that weird feeling that, ooh, these people are a lot of important business going on here. You see all these people with their suits and ties and their monkey suits. They're doing all this very important business. Maybe I don't belong here. They take themselves very, very seriously, which I don't quite understand why. So that's kind of the feel. It's very fancy. It's powerful. You look out, you see all Des Moines and all of Iowa. It's a focal point of political power. So what exactly do these people do? What are they doing there? Well, their number one, I guess all in all, their overall objective is to pass a budget. The state of Iowa gets multitudes of billions of dollars every single year, and these politicians, well, they put their heads together and they figure out how to spend all that money, and in theory that creates a desirable result for us Iowans. So that's objective number one. Some legislatures do that better than others. The United States Congress has been having a terrible time doing that in past years. But the Iowa legislature does that. That's the first job, is they want to appropriate all the money. Then also you have all these rules, regulatory provisions, and statutes that exist and govern Iowans in very many ways, day in and day out. And so legislators can propose new laws, new provisions, or they can remove old provisions or tweak things. And so each legislator proposes certain bills and rules, and that creates a mountain, a heap of paperwork that must be sorted out. Session, they got to end by April. They got to get out of there and go back to real life. So you got to have a system to kind of filter through this and prioritize things and hopefully accomplish something. So the way it's structured is each house, the Senate and the House, is each divided into numerous committees. And each committee has a chairperson. And the chairperson for each committee, it's a very politically powerful position. You get to decide what your committee hears and if it gets a vote, and you can ignore things if you'd like. And in the House, the leader of the Iowa House is a guy by the name of Craig Paulson from Hiawatha. And he's the Republican Speaker of the House, so he appoints all his Republican buddies as chairman of each of these positions, of each of these committees. And on the other side, it's the Iowa Senate. It's Democrat Mike Gronstal presides over the Senate, and he appoints his Democratic colleagues as chairpeople of all these committees. Iowa is one of the few legislatures in the country that has a divided legislature, which means the Republicans control the House and the Democrats control the Senate. As a political observer, that creates some interesting politics for me to observe. So overall, that's somehow the process. Is a legislature will propose a bill, it'll get drafted and filed by Legislative Services Agency, referred to a subcommittee. If it passes that, it gets heard by a full committee. And if it passes the full committee, it's heard by the entire chamber to be passed to the other house. And if it passes the other house, sometimes they have to have joint conference committees, and they send something up to the governor. And once the governor signs it, it's the law of the land, and it affects all 3.5 million Iowans, and they must abide by that rule. And I would recommend that you familiarize yourselves with these rules, laws, regulations, and statutes, as if you find yourself on the wrong side of them, you could end up incarcerated in jail or facing very serious, stiff civil penalties. So I recommend you find yourself on the right side of all these rules that your legislature is passing. And for what it's worth, this whole process is also governed by a document called Mason's Manual. It's a big book this thick. And then each chamber, the House and the Senate, has different rules that they've adopted over the years which govern their own proceedings. It's all very complicated, very complex. Mr. Paulson knows the rules for his chamber. Mr. Gronstall knows the rules for the Senate. I doubt I could have either of those gentlemen tell me the rules. That's very politically powerful knowledge. If you know the rules, that's advantageous to working in these bodies. So hopefully that's kind of an overview on how these things work, what they hope to accomplish. And I guess I found myself interested, and I could talk forever on this, so I'll probably just focus on one issue that's been on my mind this past week, is what I call food freedom. As an individual, I desire the right to control my own diet. I think I'm perfectly knowledgeable to determine if something is safe and healthy versus unsafe and unhealthy. And if I choose something and I choose it and eat it and it makes me, gives me a stomach ache or kills me, well, at least I had the choice. So as a consumer, I would like to purchase products like raw milk, raw honey, raw cheese, unpasteurized dairy. But if I had someone sell these things to me, engage in a commercial interaction with someone, a farmer or a rancher, and they sold me something like, say, raw milk, well, it's very possible they could find armed agents from the milk board or the FDA or whoever who would then show up, confiscate their product, and kind of at the barrel of a gun force them out of business. And then as a consumer, I would be deprived the right to drink that milk, and of course the rancher or the farmer wouldn't get the money for my business. And then on top of that, I think it's kind of a whole waste of time to be nitpicking and using all these resources because someone didn't like my milk or someone didn't like my cheese. So thankfully, I just penned an email which will go out to I think about 8,000 people or so, detailing State Senator Ken Sorensen from Warren County and Representative Jason Schultz from somewhere in western Iowa. They've introduced bills to remove these regulatory provisions which would allow the free commercial exchange of raw honey, raw milk, or unpasteurized dairy. And so that's something I've been supporting. I think it encompasses what I would call food freedom, my right to eat whatever I so desire without being impeded by the government. So that's, I guess, an overview. I hope you all learned something, enjoyed something. I'm always very happy to continue these dialogues or answer any of your legislative concerns. So I hope you enjoyed this speech, and thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jeff. Now, you should find on your seat or next to you an evaluation form. Please take 2 minutes. Timer, please give us 2. And here to present his project is his evaluator, Ed Hibb.
This is a little weird, standing here at the Gene Symington Craig Evaluator Lectern after so long. Fellow lovers of self-expression, I'm here to introduce John and his project. But before I do, I just want to take a second to acknowledge Upendra. Upendra gave the most personally impactful speech I've ever heard in all of Toastmasters. It was in a contest. It was about how to smile in your heart. Upendra, I use that on average about 4 times a day. Once in a while I have a day where I don't remember, or it goes so well that I don't have to remember, but I have plenty of days where I use it 10 times a day. Thank you for that. That's the kind of thing that can happen in Toastmasters, is speeches that literally change your life, because that one did mine. And that's going to happen again tonight with John. John's speech is number 4. The project is number 4, which is how to say it. It's all about the words. When we get a grammarian's report, we're hearing about how to say it, how to use colorful words, descriptive words, words that makes an impact. This is the project where you could be horrible at all the things that everybody looks like. You could be hiding behind this thing. You could have no vocal variety, horrible body language, but if you use really interesting words, you can nail this project. One of the things you can be looking for is what's called rhetorical devices. That's a fancy name for saying as or like. He's as fast as a cheetah. You just used a simile. That's a rhetorical device. I'm really looking forward to the evaluation of Jeff's speech because he had a lot, that beginning where you had ornate and all those descriptive words, that was right on with this project. So if you hear wonderful descriptive words from John, then you know he's really focused on this project. John's title is, I Wish I Were a Secret Agent. So we have some interesting use of words already. The speech is actually about childhood problems. John's qualified to give this speech because he was once a child. And he was once a secret agent, as you're about to find out. Life is a stage, and we are all actors upon it. We are here to welcome John as an actor on our stage, as a secret agent, telling about how imagination can be used to solve childhood problems. Please welcome John.
Golden speakers, honored guests, and we have quite a few tonight, and viewers at home. And thank you, Ed, for that introduction. While I was writing this speech, it felt weird. I was wondering, is this too weird to talk about? You know, but then all of a sudden I come, and the theme is weird. How does that work out? That's amazing. I always wanted to be a secret agent. And for a short time, as a child, I was a secret agent. I think about the questions of, do we have secret identities? Do we have secret heroes? Do we pretend to be someone in order to function in society, function through problems? Well, I did have a secret identity. And I am going to reveal tonight my intimate relationship with the secret world of secret agents. In 7th grade, when I joined middle school, I had a paralyzing shyness problem. I could not be in crowds without being uncomfortable. I felt that I did not belong. At the same time this was happening, puberty was happening. Now, I don't know if that was connected. I don't know what was going on there. But I did know that if I'd go to church and on Sundays I'd be introduced to people and I just didn't want to, I want to be invisible. And when I went to dances, school dances, the shyness was just, it was uncomfortable. So what's a body to do? Well, being the introvert that I was, and being shy, my hobby was reading. And in 7th grade, I pretty much read out every school library that I'd gone to. I read out half of the Freeport Memorial Library, and I would read historical novels, and I'd read science fiction, I would read biographies are my favorite. I love the biographies. I love the stories of people's lives. I read math books. I read electronics books. Did I mention I was introverted? I read Greek mythology, Roman mythology, philosophy, mythology. And around the time that John F. Kennedy was elected president, it was revealed that one of his favorite authors was Ian Fleming. Ian Fleming was a British author. We hadn't heard of him on this side of the pond. And he had a character, James Bond. Well, my father bought the first book, which everybody knows was Casino Royale, which they just made a remake of the movie. Hope that would be weird if that pops off there. And I was hooked. My first book, I was hooked. James Bond was my hero. He was confident, he was powerful, he was smooth, he got all the girls, he loved cars, he loved guns. He had the 00 designation. He was above the law. He was his own judge, jury, and executioner. And he did it all for God, King, and the universe. I mean, and the country. God, King, and country. That's what he did it for. But that was James Bond. Now, how does a secret agent impact an 11-year-old boy? Well, I'll tell you. Those qualities I read off, you don't usually find them in 11-year-old boys. But that's what I wanted to be. So what I would do, I would be in a situation, uncomfortable, and I would just imagine I was on a secret mission. I was there. No one knew my mission. Maybe M knew my mission. And I was there to observe. Secret agents, they hang back, they look. My introverted nature was perfect. Nobody noticed. I was gathering intelligence. I was there to find out what was really going on, and it allowed me to deal with groups and crowds. How this happened, I don't know, but it's amazing how the mind and nature just supports and creates these solutions that we don't even know where it comes from. I travel on subways and buses, trains on Long Island, and I'd imagine that I was James Bond traveling in exotic European locales. That's how far the fantasy. That's how far the fantasy work is going. Now, can you imagine that I had created this problem of shyness and made it so big that it needed a secret agent whose mission was to conquer the free world, to save the free world? I had to be on that mission in order to get through this problem. That's how huge I made this shyness problem. So, in conclusion, do we have secret identities? Do we play roles to help us through difficult situations? And do we have heroes? Well, I had a secret identity, and it served me well. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter Mitty. Please now use another evaluation form, and Mr. Timer, please give us 2 minutes for them to... Mr. Timer, thank you. It's time for us to now vote for the best speaker. Mr. Timer, did everyone who spoke qualify?
Yes, both the speakers qualified, Jeff and John.
Good, so please use a voting ballot and vote. Now we will move on to the evaluation portion of the evening. First up, I'd like to ask Will Burns to present us with his evaluation of Jeff Shipley's talk. Will.
Thank you, Art. So, Jeff was doing topic number 4. First off, thank you, fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, and most especially, Jeff. Jeff was doing number 4, how to say it. So really, a lot of my evaluation will structure around, did he say it? And did he say it in a concise, clear way? I'm just going to go through the manual first here, the items, then I'm going to hit on some other points as well, kind of do a bit of both here. Was the speech topic appropriate for the assignment? Now, I feel this particular assignment of legislation did not suit this topic as well, because it's a very solid topic. It's a topic that you know quite well, Jeff. However, it does by nature have a bit of bulk to it. And it's something that I think a lot of people, how many of you feel like you have a really good grasp in this room of the Iowa legislative system?
Now we do.
Now you're doing a lot better. But this is one big elephant to swallow, or a donkey, you know. May be. Did the speaker use simple, short, clear words? Yes, he did. I feel like he really. Now there was a little bit of jargon I felt that came in there, a little bit of ostentatious and monkey suits. Ostentatious, I know what it means. You can definitely tell from the context, but that, you know, monkey suits, jargon. That said, you had a great descriptor. You know, you had a great use of rhetorical devices like the cherry wood. I mean, I just had an image of this august body collecting this beautiful building, timeless, with that timeless nature only wood can give, surrounded by this metal box of the metal detector, and kind of that passing through that portal to get into this place of action. You're a very experienced speaker. You did a really good job of using grammar, pronunciation. You have a very clear way of speaking that's understood. However, I feel like the material, being that you're very knowledgeable about it, that taking some of that knowledge and putting it into a less of an intellectual way and more of a personal way might have helped your speech. For example, Mike Gronstall, Mike the Hammer. In addition to doing, you know, in between doing shots of Templeton at home, he rules his body with an iron fist. Because these names need to stick out in our minds. And there's just so much material that kind of, you know, more picture. You did a great job with the opening. If that had carried on to the body, that would have been great. You had a good use of gestures. I just would like to have seen more, wider, and use more of this stage. You did come over here in the start, but carry on throughout the rest of it. In closing, I would suggest that you pick either talking about the House and Senate, or about your campaign, the process of activism, because those are two kind of separate thoughts, both that you have a lot of experience with, and I would love to hear both of them in depth.
Now I'll take the opportunity to recover from my mistake as Toastmaster and failing to introduce the General Evaluator, Jesus Rios, who's supposed to be conducting this part of the meeting.
Yo! A little help can hurt. Thank you, Art. You didn't help on my job pretty much. Now I'd like to introduce EdKeep to evaluate. Oh, wait a minute. Let me make sure I get this right.
You need a lot of help tonight.
Yes, I need a lot of help.
Mark, could you get back up here and do this?
Yes, just take over. Do your job, man. It's all yours.
Secret agent, secret identity, secret hero. I was shy. I was going through puberty. I wanted to be invisible. What's a body to do? On this side of the pond, above the law, 00 designation, exotic European locales. Big problem, huge solution. I submit to you that John accomplished the purpose of this task of finding creative, descriptive, vivid words to tell his tale. Thank you, John, for that. Really good. The thing that I want to look at in terms of improving this is not specifically related to the topic, the task, which is using words. I think you aced that. I asked you beforehand what kind of speech you thought it was. Now, if you look at your manual, there's 4 kinds of speeches: entertainment, informational, inspirational, and persuasive. You said inform, right? That's what I remember. I'd suggest to you that when you're writing a speech, that the designation of which of those things be one of your early parts of your process. Get clear what you want to do. Are you writing persuasive speech? Don't stumble into a persuasive speech. Don't write around a persuasive speech. Know that that's what you're doing and go right for the heart of it. I don't think any speeches are ever all one. They're more than one. In this case, I felt like this speech was, for me, mainly an entertaining speech and an inspirational speech. And if you had zeroed in on those better, I think you would have addressed one of the issues that is a manual question for the evaluator, and that is, was it clear what the purpose of the speech was? I'm not as clear what the purpose of the speech is. I'm not as clear what my take-home from this is. Can you say what would be the take-home you wanted somebody to have? If you had the elevator 20 seconds, what would be the take-home you'd want somebody to walk out of this with?
That no matter how big we make a problem, we make the solution that much larger also to conquer the problem.
Okay. Now, if that's the take-home, I think that you've got to make it so that people can get access to that for themselves better. Mm-hmm. As I looked at the structure of your speech, the beginning was an abstraction around identities, and then the middle was, you said, and this hits the road with my identity as a shy person, and then you brought in the solution, which is that when I can use my identity as a solution to interferences, then I can solve it. So if you had other examples of that for people that they could generalize to, because most of us can't generalize being a secret agent.
Huh.
We just don't have that 00 designation. And if you brought this into current times such that people who were adults could also see we have identities too, and we could use this same technology to solve it, then I think that'd be useful too. The thing I like the most is the way you are with us. That belly laugh that comes out just reveals to me that you're just right here in the room and there's no pretense. Thank you very much.
Mr. Simon, can you please tell us if all the evaluators qualified?
Okay, we have the table topic evaluators, Jean, Wilburns, and John. Jean is the only one who qualified.
Oh,
and
right.
it would have been only weird if she had not asked for that extra time.
That does not qualify.
So, with the extra time given, Jean is qualified.
Let's take a minute and vote.
We don't?
Okay, yeah, I guess that's unanimous.
We have a winner.
Yeah, we have a winner.
We have a winner.
Take 13 seconds and vote.
In that case, I continue on with my duties, evaluating the evaluators.
First you gotta do your roles.
Reports.
Okay, again, I need a lot of help, Ed. Let's hit a report from all our role players, starting with our timer. Jyoti, would you please give us a report?
Satish, yeah, thank you. Slogan, 2 minutes, 9 seconds. Scott, 2 minutes, 5 seconds. Jesus, 1 minute, 34 seconds. Stephanie, 2 minutes, 11 seconds. Upendra, 2 minutes, 15 seconds. And Dan, 1 minute, 48 seconds. Speeches, Jeff, 8 minutes, 20 seconds. John, 6 minutes, 22 seconds. And the evaluators, Jean, 4 minutes. Wilburns, 4 minutes, 3 seconds. And John, Ed.
Jesus, somebody.
3 minutes, 32 seconds.
3:32?
Yeah,
It's close.
Oh, it's close.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. Now we're going to get a report from Cindy Trainer, our accountant.
Yo!
The list is long. I will get through as quickly as possible. So far to date, Will has a clean slate. Congratulations, Will. Art
Our president!
Art Atkinson, 1A. Satish, you snuck an okay in there at the beginning of your sentence and also a so at the beginning of the sentence, and you had one false start. You said it. You said, you were saying it and you had two I's in there when you began it. Stephanie, one ah and three so's. Tom, you cleared your throat 4 times. And so it happens. Slobodan, 3 ahs, 2 so's, 1 and, 1 tongue click, or smack, something like that. And 1 repeat. I'm still not used to seeing the Xerox up here. It's like, ha! Scott, 1 ah, 2 so's, and 2 tongue clicks.
Whoa.
Jesus, 1 ah, 1 so. Good. That's it so far. Upindra, I didn't hear anything from you. And Dan, not from you. Nothing. You have a clean slate also. Jean, 1 lip smack. That was definitely a really solid lip smack. 4 so's, and the ones I counted as so's, they're always at the beginning of your sentence, like so. And 1 false start. Jeff, you're our winner tonight.
Oh, no.
7 ahs and 1 and ah. 4 ums, 2 you knows, 1 and so, 4 so's, 3 ands, 1 in, 1 duplicate there, and 2 false starts. Add
But
hip.
no tongue clicks, right?
No tongue clicks. No, none of them. Add hip. 1 ah and 2 repeats. Had a the and something else I didn't write down. John, 1 ah, 2 so's, 1 and 1 false starts. And that is my report.
Go!
Now we'll get our report from our grammarian, Stephanie.
Okay. Quite a few people use the word of the day, weird. So Art used it once, Slobodan used it twice, Tom used it 4 times, Jean used it once, Will used it once, Jeff used it once, John used it 4 times in his speech, and Satish used it once as well. So thank you for everyone for using the word. In terms of things I enjoyed hearing tonight, Slobodan, I'm not sure if I got this exactly, but something about complaining to achieve a higher purpose. I thought that was interesting. Dan, there was this tiny little guy circling my head. I like that. Jeff, it's very fancy, it's very powerful. That's good description. John, I wanted to be invisible. I was gathering intelligence. I had a secret identity and it served me well. I didn't get the joke because I don't understand it, but Scott said it was good the way Will talked about swallowing a big elephant to swallow, or was it a donkey? But I think that's something to do with Iowa politics.
Yes, ma'am.
Ed, I liked your use of vivid words to tell his tale. And I like the fact that you asked, could you say what would be the take-home for this? It was interesting. And the fact that you said about there was no pretense about John, which I think was a great comment. So that wraps up my report. I thought everyone did a great job.
Now we come to the time that we all have been waiting for. Please help me welcome the lady with $1 million smile.
Okay, I really love all you guys. I have to say that in advance. So I have my friend said this to me. It's funny. It's why men are never depressed. Men are just happier people. What do you expect from such simple creatures? Your last name stays put. The garage is all yours. Wedding plans take care of themselves. Chocolate is just another snake. You can be president, you can never be pregnant. You can wear a white t-shirt to a water park. You can wear no shirt to a water park. Car mechanics tell you the truth. The world is your urinal. You never have to drive to another gas station, restroom, because this one is just too icky. You don't have to stop and think of which way to turn a nut on a bolt. Same work, more pay. Wrinkles add character. Wedding dress, $5,000. Tux rental, $100. People never stare at your chest when you're talking to them. New shoes don't cut, blister, or mangle your feet. One mood all the time. Phone conversations are over in 30 seconds flat. You know your stuff about tanks. A 5-day vacation requires only one suitcase. You can open all your own jars. You get extra credit for the slightest act of thoughtfulness. If someone forgets to invite you, he or she can still be your friend. Your underwear is $8.95 for a 3-pack. 3 pairs of shoes are more than enough. You almost never have strap problems in public. You are unable to see wrinkles in your clothes. Everything on your face stays in its original color. The same hairstyle lasts for years, even decades. You only have to shave your face and neck. You can play with toys all your life. One wallet, 1 pair of shoes, 1 color for all seasons. You can wear shorts no matter how your legs look. You can do your nails with a pocket knife. You have freedom of choice concerning growing a mustache. You can do Christmas shopping for 25 relatives on December the 24th in 25 minutes.
There's a lot of truth in that. Especially cutting your nails with a pocket knife. I mean, there's just a lot of truth. Okay, moving on. I got 4 minutes to make some comments about tonight's meeting. And for the guests, this is a good example. Not every meeting is the same. There's always something. Today was a weird meeting. And this is extra weird because I am supposed to evaluate my teachers, Dean Samington, Ed Heath, these persons that I look up to because I see them as a role models, because when I see them speak, I say to myself, I want to be like them. So for me to be up here trying to give them some feedback and evaluation, and I say evaluation with a B. Because this is something that's been on me. Because of my accent, English is my second language. It is no different, not much difference than is audible. But you gotta keep in mind, you know, it's my second language, and I was born at a very early age. That's true. I was born in Mexico, but I promise you, I will never do that again. This is what I got to say about your evaluation, Gene. First of all, you started by making a note of our guests to make sure that they were acknowledged, which I think this is a really nice point, and we always need to strive on making sure that our guests feel comfortable. This is a place where we come to learn, to grow, and have fun. Laughing is healthy, and I think that today we're going to leave this place full of spirit, more healthy. And obviously, you know, what can I say? You're really confident. You came in and you on the stage. You even had the guts to ask for more time because you were giving good stuff. When we first start coming to Toastmasters, and you're gonna experience this, and you're going to experience this at one time, when you get up here and get to speak to a group, some people that you know, some people that you don't know, you can feel the pressure of all the eyes. You can feel like they staring you from the tip of your toes to your top of your head, and your heart starts pumping, and you get these emotions, which eventually they will fade away to the point, and you will say, "No, I need more time." No choice. I'm taking more time. And initially, I have asked you to just smile, Jean, because you have a pretty smile that it just makes everybody more relaxed, and it's a pleasant smile. But I think that it is weird that I'm here to give you something good, something that you can improve. But quite honestly, I don't have a lot of things, and that, like I say, that was weird, and I am here now for Ed.
That's easy.
Again, what can I say, Ed? You're CIA yourself, secret agent. I saw your speech. He's a winner of different contests. The evaluation that you give for John, I mean, you made it clear, like, what am I supposed to get out of here? So I think that the points that you gave to John, they were really accurate. And again, I think that it's weird that I don't have a thing that I can tell you how you can improve, because obviously you're a master. And I will make a quick point for Will. It is a privilege to me to see you, how you have grown in your speech and your confidence. And I like to think that I am doing the same, because I remember when I came here for the first time, hands on my pocket, my heart pumping and really not making eye contact, which now I feel comfortable. Don't think that I will say for you, Bill, that keep your feet in one spot. At the beginning of your introduction, you were doing a lot of this, and for no reason. If you have a reason to do it, that's fine. That's my comments for the evening. Now I'll pass it on to our president for Toastmasters.
Okay. Now we come to the awards section of the evening. I guess we didn't vote for one of the positions, but by acclaim, we have a best evaluator of the evening, Gene Simonton Craig.
Yay!
He claimed the necessary time. So, our next step is to recognize our best table topic speaker of the evening. May I have a motion? Stephanie Chambers, please. The next drum roll is for the best speaker of the evening. John Lauro. Presenting you with 2 ribbons. Best speaker, speech number 4, and 5.
Yes, thank you, sir.
I'd like to turn the meeting back over to our President Will Burns.
You got a ribbon.
We have a ribbon.
We have a ribbon.
We have a ribbon. Jeff Shipley, please come forward. And step up.
We also got a ribbon from Gene, too.
Gene, best evaluator.
Yay! Smile.
I thought she was smiling a lot during that evaluation.
She's smiling.
Now I will turn the meeting back over to our President, Will Burns.
Yo!
a swing dance move.
Yeah. Thank you, Art. And now I'll take comments from our guests. I didn't catch your name.
Kari Baby.
Kari Baby. Well, could you just tell us a little bit about your experience today here at Toastmasters? Or?
It was my first experience coming to Toastmasters, and I've been meaning to come for a long time. I'm not comfortable talking in front of people, and I work from home. I'm a co-founder of a startup. And working from home, I don't interact much with anyone, and so I really need to improve my speaking skills. And I have to say, the first thing I was kind of surprised about is how often everyone claps. And maybe we could start some finger snaps instead. So, but no, it was great. I thought it was really nice how everyone was showing so much support and really great feedback for everyone, and I can see that I'll be improving. So I look forward to that.
Good. Hey. Your experience?
It's definitely interesting. It's not what I expected at all, and I think I'll be coming back. It seems like people improve here.
Yo.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Great. Well, you're certainly welcome. You're certainly welcome to come back anytime you like. So,
Enjoy it any day.
Enjoy any day. And yes, I do actually feel like I've changed a lot. And so have you, Jesus. In subtle ways. But you've really been able to really take the crowd and get them dancing to your beat. You know, kind of make them move to your command there.
That's true.
Okay, you know the drill. Thank you all for coming out. I always draw so much inspiration and energy from you guys. I always come here. It's a Tuesday. I got through Monday, but we still have a lot of week left over to go. I'm just a little tired, but I'm always enthused and inspired by all the energy that you guys bring. Whether it's table topics, whether it's evaluations, whether it's speeches. It's a privilege to be up here doing this week after week. So I want to thank you again for coming out. Please help us pick up. And tonight we actually have a special reason, if you can stay on for a little bit longer. We have the table toppers for next week. The special meeting is coming up. So I will ask Darlene, Dan, Cindy, Rhonda, Brenda, if you guys could give us a hand. Jean, Satish, Scott, Jeff, John, Slobodan. Yeah,
And
Ed, Art, and Jesus, myself.
Let's hear it for
Give us a
name recall.
Yeah. Give us a hand. We can get this folded to be done here in about 15 minutes.
Food volunteers.
Oh, and thank you, Rhonda. We need volunteers next week to bring food. We're not going to be dinner things. This is more like snacks, crackers, cheeses, drinks. Each person, go to Rhonda. Tell her what you're bringing.
Oh, no. People have to say right now, because I got to clean this room up.
Okay, all right.
If anybody could volunteer, if they'll bring a cookie, crackers.
I don't want to do it right now, but I will, because I don't want to do it right now, but I'll bring
Okay,
something.
all right, later's fine.
Do you guys have an idea about what you want to bring?
We'll probably bring a juice and maybe dip.
Bugs. Bugs.
Yes.
That's your job, Slobodan. You can go in there.
Rhonda, I'll bring chips and salsa.
Chips and salsa.
Thank you, John.
Dan, you and Jean gonna get something in mind?
Bring crackers.
Crackers from.
Dan's good at this.
Cindy and Tom will bring cheese. Cheese and crackers.
Some kind of cookies.
We'll bring drinks. I'll bring drinks.
Drinks.
Who's bringing drinks?
Jesus.
Jesus.
Drinks.
Send an email out too that everybody wasn't here.
She's like, Vera was not adding it up.
And also say what let's say we're missing, so we, I can bring whatever it's missing.
Yes.
Fruits.
Fruits, okay?
Cookies. Cake.
An email would be good.
Vegetables?
Okay, so far we have 2 people to bring drinks, that's Stephanie and Jesus. 2 people bringing cheese, Tom and Satish. 1 person bringing chips and salsa, John. 1 person bringing cookies, Dan.
2 cookies. This is ours.
Thank you, Art. I couldn't write fast enough, thank you. Slow down.
Fruits?
Whatever you need.
Cookies. Cookies are always famous.
No fruits? Okay. Cookies.
We could use some more crunchy things.
Veggie
Anybody
dip.
want to bring celery or dip?
Well, I was gonna bring dip as well as juice.
Okay, great, thank you.
Stephanie has some crunchy insects she could bring.
Yes.
Chocolate covered ants.
We could
Plus,
use
everybody
some-
else who's not here needs to respond to you also.
All right. So I sent him an email on our master list. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Tell them what you got and what you need, and they'll respond.
And when should we be here, and maybe details?
7, we need to be here
Be
at
here at
7. Shut up, it's gonna be big, we're gonna have 100 seats in here. We're gonna have 100 people in this room next Wednesday, Tuesday night.
What time does it start?
7:30 is the start, we need to be here at 7.
Set up.
It's a big setup.
Greet.
Great, meet,
And do we still play roles that night?
no,
No, it'll be a very different meeting from what you're used to seeing. This will
Okay,
be-
so I don't have to set up the room?
yes, we have, but we're
Just
gonna
be
set up
here.
for 100.
Yeah.
We'll be here, set up for 100.
Do we meet and
Well,
talk
it's got
about the
the agenda.
meeting? The people who are gonna be doing
Oh.
things in it, do
Said
we
he
meet
did.
at all and have a, go over the meeting at all?
You know, we probably should meet, you know, those of us that are.
I would like that, because I'm doing something
Panel.
for the first time
Yeah,
that I've
yeah, the
ever
panel,
done.
yeah.
But is everybody meeting?
Are you making, where is the agenda, and like, are you
Yeah.
making it minute by minute by minute, because that's what you need to have?
Right, yeah, we'll have a minute by minute agenda
Who are you working on that with?
with Jeff.
Send
And,
it out early so we can.
yeah, yeah.
Because
yeah,
there
yeah.
may be some, you know, how much time are you allowing for the panel?
The panel is,
20 minutes, 20,
Yeah.
25 minutes?
yeah, we're looking at 30, but yeah, that's 20, 30 minutes.
Gerald,
Oh, that's
Gerald knows
good.
how long his
Yeah.
speech is.
That's good.
Gerald knows how, I mean, he's.
Yes, he knows how
got
long his speech
Time
is.
and everything,
Yes.
okay.
Will, could you just explain for us newcomers
Please.
what's going on?
We have a very special annual meeting next week. Super duper special entertainment. Think NPR, new member. That's what we're doing.
Special
Maybe a
guest
guest
speaker, and we have a panel that really introduces Toastmasters to the community, whoever is there, short, medium, long-term people, you know, what benefits can you expect to get from that? So it's kind of a fun, here's a really dynamic speaker, you know, interact with everybody, hear what Toastmasters is about, see if it's something you might be interested in, socialize around all the food, and then we're looking for new members always.
So everybody who brings cookies has to bring a friend too, right?
Ah!
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and is there a emailable version of the poster for people
Yes.
sending out to their, can you send that out to the
I can send that out to
members?
the
Okay, so
members.
then you can send that out to your local contacts.
Yes.
I
See-
want to point out, Will, I just want to point out that the guests are welcome to come and bring a guest, and your
Yeah.
guests can bring a guest to their own.
Yeah, by all means.
Yes, it's gonna be a.
Where does that
Yeah.
end though? Ned Gas bring a gas?
Up to 100.
Doesn't
That's
it?
It's gonna be a professional speaker, a dynamic speaker, and it is free. Next week, 7:30.